Alrighty, this took a bit of time to get set up, but anyway, Brook gaming fans sent me out a Wingman SD2. So this is a kind of modern controller adapter that lets you play on the Sega Saturn or the Sega Dreamcast. So we've got the Sega Saturn running here. This is Vampire Savior. I've set it to Turbo 3 because that looks like the Evo Japan standard. On the left-hand side, we have our native Saturn controller. So I think it's, can't remember, HSS 0100 or something like that. And then on the right-hand side, we've got the Wingman SD2 with a Brook USB Fusion connected. This is running, native Saturn hardware and running through a RetroTink 4K. When I went back to test Saturn games, I found that there's actually very few that have a command history. So Dead or Alive does, but it's quite frustrating in the way that it displays the commands and takes a bit of extra work. What I found was that the Morrigan sprite, when she does her jab on pretty much the first frame of animation, you'll get a very big color change, and so I've looked to use that one. It seems as though the results, regardless of what controller you're using, can be quite inconsistent. So one, I've set it to 300 tests, just to try to smooth some of that out. And two, I've set it up so it's testing them simultaneously. So those two photo transistors should be equidistant down the screen. The other good thing about Morrigan is that she is in Vampire Hunter, and she is in many, many, many games. And hopefully the kind of jab animation is consistent. So if I can get a Dreamcast out, hopefully, what's on there? Vampire Savior Chaos Tower or some such, and then Marvel vs. Capcom 2, all will have hopefully the same kind of animation. Frame skip is probably playing havoc with the results to some extent. That's just the nature of the games in those days. Anyway, we're almost done there. What I'll do is pull up my web page. So given we've got 300 tests, it'll just take a second to load those up, but already looking reasonably promising. So I'm just getting the jigs out of the way. That all looks okay. So you can see that player 1, which was the native Saturn pad, 78 milliseconds. Player 2, 81 milliseconds. So about a 3 millisecond difference between the two of them, which seems pretty fair. As you can see here, so presumably anytime there's a red and a blue on the same frame, they will overlap. And so you only see the red. So the times you're seeing the blues is where the two results differ by more than a millisecond. So you can see here that'll be a big one. But you can see regardless of which controller, so blue is Saturn pad, red is Brook USB Fusion through the Wingman SD2, it's quite an inconsistent game. And that's just the nature of probably frame skip. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Sorry, just trying to get my eye right. So if we account for the distance down the screen, assuming this is drawing in 120, 8.33 milliseconds, then we'll get about 73 and 76. And we can run through all the results there. So here you can see they differed by a frame, which we can catch there with the blue and the red. Same. So you see 98 And then suddenly, so there's a big difference here, 65 down to 99, and then same. So I'll just scroll through all of these, unless I get bored. The other thing to point out, of the 300 trials, 36 times the player 1 was more than 4 milliseconds faster, so 16, and then 264 times, so about 90% of the time, they were equal, which kind of fits with a 3 millisecond difference between the two. And so you'd expect about 1 in every 10th trial to show a difference. So if you are keen to play your Saturn with a modern controller or even a hitbox, this seems like a pretty good way to achieve that, with just 3 milliseconds between the two of them.